All right, so today is the first of NDA's monthly webinar series. The focus of the training today would be determining free and reduced price lunch eligibility in light of the recent PBT guidance and that being so reliant on free and reduced price eligible students. We decided to give an overview or a refresher of how to determine free and reduced price eligible children. So, a little housekeeping before we get started. This training is being recorded. We are placing all participants on mute. There will be a question and answer section at the end. So go ahead and utilize the chat functions and you can type questions as they go along. And I will address at the end, or my colleagues on this webinar today will address your questions in the chat. For those of you that are crediting this training towards your professional standards training hours, you will code this for 3,000 for program administration, specifically 3,100 for free and reduced price meal benefits. And this will be 45 minutes of creditable training. So a little overview agenda of what we're going to go over today. Give you an overview of free and reduced price eligibility. We'll go over the types of eligibility, how to process FRL applications. We'll talk about direct certification, including how to find the DC match list on Department of Education's Bighorn system. And then we'll talk about the single student lookup tool. So free and reduced lunch price eligibility. This is a critical part of the National School Lunch Program. When you think about the purpose of the program, it's to provide students with a free or low cost meal. And so to achieve that purpose, you have to both correctly determine and issue the correct benefit to the students. This affects their eligibility to participate in the program and receive a free or reduced meal. And it also affects their eligibility for other assistance programs like the pandemic EBT that we've been talking so much about. Any errors relating to the determination or the issuing of benefits during your administrative review are most likely associated with fiscal action. If we do see severe errors in these areas, we are required to assess fiscal action, and this would be taken from your monthly claims. So when we talk about eligibility, your go-to resource is going to be the eligibility manual for school meals. It goes into detail of everything that we're discussing today. It talks about how to process applications, weird scenarios if you run into those. It goes over direct certification, verification, most of your answers, not say all, but most of your answers can be found in the eligibility manual. Another great resource is USDA's website. It's called Applying for Free and Reduced Meals. They have templates, they have additional guidance on this website, and it's just a great resource for any questions you may have. So there's types of eligibility or how a family or student can qualify for free and reduced meals. The first is the free and reduced lunch application, or you may hear me refer to it as the FRL application as we go along. And this is when that family applies for benefits. There's three types. A student can be eligible based on income, they can be categorically eligible, or other source categorical, which we'll go over later. And then direct certification. And this is when students automatically qualify for the National School Lunch Program because they receive other assistance programs like SNAP, TANF, FDPIR, Medicaid free, or Medicaid reduced. So this is just a snapshot here of the free and reduced lunch application. You all should be very familiar with this. We do ask you to submit it into when you apply annually to our program. And then the income eligibility guidelines. This is going to be what you compare the different income levels when you're processing those free and reduced lunch applications. And I'm going to go through each section of the application, walk you through what's required in this section. So when you review, you know what to look for. Step one or section one, this is the information for the children. This is where you're going to input all of that. So that should list all children in the household, whether they're a student or not, and they can indicate the grade and check yes or no if they're a student. Here they will also mark if they're a foster child or if they qualify or categorize as homelet, migrant, or runaway. Section 2, this is where any categorically eligible student would enter their information. It asks if they if the student or anyone in the household participates in SNAP, TANF, or FDPIR. If they do answer yes, they have a spot to enter a case number. In Nevada, case numbers are all 9-digit numbers and they include no letters. So as long as the number is meeting that criteria, you're going to process that application as categorically eligible. Section 3 or step 3, this is where you're going to document all the income the family receives. So in section A, the child income, you're going to enter, or the family is going to enter all the income their children receive and how often. Step B is where they're going to record all members of the household, and this is including if they receive income or don't receive income. For any adult members that do receive income, they're going to enter the amount and the frequency. They're going to enter gross income, and this includes any public assistance income, retirement, or any other income they could use to pay for school meals. And then lastly, you'll see the total household members. This total number should equal the total of all the children they entered in step 1 and all the adult members they entered in step 3. When you're looking at these, you'll want to see that there's no duplication of names. So they're not including all the children again in step 3 or vice versa, all the adult members in household or in step 1. You want to see that they're counted once and that's a true total household member number. And then they're also going to enter the last 4 of their social security number, or they can check the box that they don't have a social security number. Step 4 is where they're going to enter the household information, their street address, and the household or the adult completing the application will print their name and sign and date when they are submitting that application. And by signing, they're certifying that the information that they provide to you is to the best of their knowledge. On the back of your application, there's going to be optional information. This is your racial and ethnic section. The family does not have to complete this for their application to be processed. For income applications, if an application is missing one of the required elements, it is considered incomplete. So even if it's that last 4 social or not checking that box, that application is still considered complete. Incomplete applications cannot be processed for meal benefits, and it must be completed by the family prior to processing the application. Sorry, everyone, it looks like I stopped sharing my screen. There we go. So now we're going to talk about application types. First, as I mentioned before, is an income application. Their eligibility is determined on their income reported. A categorical application, their eligibility is determined by their participation in another assistance program like SNAP, TANF, or FDPIR. An other source categorical application is determined whether the student is considered foster, homeless, migrant, or runaway. So to determine eligibility for an income application, you're going to take these applications at face value. You're going to compare it to the income eligibility guidelines to determine the correct eligibility for that household. You're going to look at the reported income. If there is multiple income sources, but it's the same frequency, you're going to add that add the two income free or the income sources together and compare it to the income eligibility chart. So for example, if mom makes $100 a week and dad makes $100 a week, you're going to add those two incomes, the 200, and compare it to the weekly amount for the household size. However, if they're reporting multiple income sources, but they're different income frequencies, those each income source has to be annualized and compared to the income eligibility chart. So if mom made $100 a week and dad made $100 a month, you're going to annualize both of those incomes, add them together, and then compare it to the annual amount for the household size. And below, you'll see that there's the income conversion factors. So to determine eligibility for a categorical application, again, it's processed at face value, and all you're looking for is that they did answer yes to step 2, and they provided a 9-digit case number. And again, in Nevada, it's not going to include any letters. So if there's a 9-digit case number in step 2, they do not have to fill out section 3 with their income, and this applies their entire household. So if one member is participating in these assistance program, the entire household, all children, are categorically eligible for free meals. Determining eligibility for other source categorical application. So again, you're going to process it at face value. It only applies to the students that are categorized as foster, homeless, migrant, or runaway. So for example, if there's 5 children listed on students listed on the application, but only one is categorized as foster or homeless, only that child is categorically eligible for free meals. The remainder of the students on the application have to be, their eligibility is determined by the income reported in step 3. So you may wonder what constitutes as a household. We do get these questions a lot. And USDA defines it as a household is composing of an economic unit. So this can be a group of related or unrelated individuals. They cannot be living in any boarding house or institution, and they're sharing a significant amount of income and expenses. Any household that meets this criteria need to be listed on that FRL application. So maybe grandma lives with the family, with mom, dad, there's 2 kids, maybe there's a stepkid that lives there most of the time. All of those household members need to be listed on the application, including the income that they all receive. So for application approval, you must process an application within 10 days of receipt. We highly recommend that you use a date stamp when you receive those applications. When we do conduct administrative reviews, we have to ensure that you're processing them within the timeline. If there is no date stamp, the only way that we have to determine if it's processed within that 10 days is the date that the household submitted, that where their signature is, and the date on your benefit issuance document. And we all know sometimes these applications can live in backpacks, folders, and not be submitted in a timely manner. But if that's the only date, that's the only way that we can see if that application is approved within that 10 days. So we highly, highly recommend that you're date stamping those applications so we know when you actually received it. So you have the full 10 days to process. And once the application is approved, they're valid for the entire school year and 30 days into the following school year. So I put in a little knowledge test here to go over the information that we talked about for applications. If your video is on, you can go thumbs up for true, thumbs down for false, or you could quickly unmute yourself to answer or utilize the chat. So the first statement is there are 3 types of free and reduced lunch applications. And this is true. There's income categorical and other source categorical. Our next statement, incomplete applications can be processed for free and reduced price benefits. And that's right, this is false. Incomplete applications cannot be processed for free and reduced lunch benefits. Only the income from a child's parent or guardian should be reported on a free and reduced lunch application. This is false. All the income from the household should be reported, and this is including any income received by the child. And lastly, the racial and ethnic section on the application must be completed before you can process the application. And that's right, this is false. The racial and ethnic section is optional. It does not need to be completed before you process that application for benefits. All right, we're going to move on to direct certification. So, direct certification allows school food authorities or SFAs to certify children as eligible for free or reduced meal benefits by using participant data from another means tested program. So, they're participating in other assistance programs like we've talked about. And this eliminates the need for the family to submit an application. And if a family participates in SNAP, TANF, FDPIR, or new, if they participate in Medicaid based on the income criteria, they can be directly certified for free meals. And the direct certification must be completed by each school food authority at least 3 times a year. So there's lots of benefits of direct certification. For one, it reduces the burden on families and schools. So the families are no longer required to submit an application if they're directly certified, and it eliminates the burden on you because you don't have to process as many applications. It increases or access because it reaches more students. You're not waiting for those families that may qualify but never submit an application. They're already getting that benefit. And it improves the integrity by increasing the student certification accuracy. It's no longer determined on processing that application correctly and providing the correct benefit. They're automatically approved through direct certification. And it also increases your identified student percentage. And this is very important if you're interested in applying for that community eligibility program. So, for a quick overview, for those who are using Infinite Campus, Nevada has a statewide direct certification matching system, and this incorporates Department of Welfare and Supportive Services, Nevada Department of Education, you all, the school food authorities, and the Nevada Department of Agriculture. So it's a group effort for this matching system. So the Department of Welfare and Supportive Services, they identify all children meeting that income eligibility criteria that are allowed to be directly certified. And they do this for ages 3 to 22. They provide this list of eligible students to the Department of Education. And the Department of Education matches the records from Department of Welfare and Supportive Services with the enrollment data for the state. They then issue specific direct certification lists to each school food authority. And the school food authority can then upload this list into their point of sale systems and Infinite Campus, where the matching is done for you. So they can qualify all those students that match the Department of Welfare and Supportive Services data. So the quick overview of how this is conducted, how an SFA can directly certify using this state matching system, is they're going to download their specific list from the Nevada Department of Education system, Bighorn. They'll upload this list into their Infinite Campus and their third-party point of sale system, and they complete it twice a month. So to download the DC Match file, you're going to log into Nevada Department of Education's Bighorn portal. In this portal, the DC list will be loaded twice a month, and you should be able to see it within 2 operating days of the 1st and the 15th. To download, once you've logged on, you're going to click on Files up here at the top. Under Site Content, you'll see that there will be a FRL Direct Cert file. You'll open that folder, and you will only have access to your district or charter school's information. When you open that file, you'll see a number of different lists. You're going to click on the date that you want to download, and then those 3 ellipses there, you're going to click on the ellipses, which a pop-up box will ask you if you want to open, share, or download. And you're going to download this list and save it in a desired location. Keep in mind this information is very sensitive, so you want to make sure wherever you're saving it to, there's not public access, and only the staff members that need access to this list do have access to this list. Now, to upload it into Infinite Campus, you're going to use the FRAM Eligibility Import Wizard. This is a module of Infinite Campus, and there is instructions of how to import this list. When you're importing the list, you want to make sure that the certification types are not coming over as override. They should list the different certification types for each student, especially for CEP or provision schools. Even though these students do receive free meals from attending these type of schools, it's important that you're still conducting direct certification efforts and their eligibility is maintained in Infinite Campus and your POS. And this comes into play for school food authorities with that are not district-wide CEP. So if they move and they go to attend a school that is not a CEP site, they can still have access to free meals because you're regularly doing that direct certification and updating their eligibility. So after you upload this file, you will be able to see the student's eligibility status, their certification type, and the start date and end date for their eligibility. Now, why is it so important to update the direct certification and their frequency? As we discussed, it helps prevent schools from missing children that are eligible for free and reduced school meals. It also ensures that children begin to receive these meals promptly. If you're only conducting direct certification, that minimum 3 times a year, there could be many times that new students are qualifying for direct certification, but don't have access to these meals because you're not only directly certifying 3 times a year. We recommend to do it twice a month as these lists become available. And again, it's going to aid in your meal collection efforts. You're not trying to get an application from a family. A student is not racking up unpaid meal debt when they really qualify for free or reduced meals. And also, as we mentioned, or as I mentioned before, it increases your school's identified student percentage, which is crucial if you're applying for the community eligibility provision. So there are some resources. Infinite Campus has a tutorial on how to import these files. We have a Nevada Direct Certification Manual, and I will be sending out this resource and any resource I mentioned during this training will be provided after with the slides. And you can always contact SANE support, and their number and email can be found on this slide. Next, I wanted to talk about the single student lookup tool. I know there's some confusions about what is the purpose of this tool. This is a NDA hosted tool, and SFAs can use this to search for any students on a direct certification list. And this comes directly from the Department of Welfare and Supportive Services. And why would you use this tool, or who would use the single student lookup tool? Any SFAs without Infinite Campus. So if you're not receiving that match list from the Department of Education, you can use a single student lookup tool to conduct your own direct certification for your SFA. Also, for those that receive the list, I'm sure many of you know that there are several unmatched students. You can use the single student lookup tool to match any of the unmatched students from that list. And during verification, if you're looking to directly verify students, you can use the single student lookup tool to do so. Now, how to use the single student lookup tool. First, you're going to log on. This is hosted under our single sign-on platform. All of NDA's applications will eventually be under the single sign-on, so you have one sign-on to access all of our various platforms. Right now, you'll be able to access the single student lookup tool. To do so, you're going to fill out a user authorization form, which I will send out after this training, and submit it to Angelina Bonanno. She's going to give you access to sign on our single sign-on to access the single student lookup tool. So once you're signed on and you select the single student lookup tool, you're going to agree to the CNP Direct Cert Acknowledgement. And this is acknowledgement that you do know this information is sensitive and it's not going to be shared. It's only going to be used for the process of directly certifying students. Once you agree to that acknowledgement, at the top, you'll have several options. You're going to click on Direct Certification. And then you can choose if you want to upload a file, and this will allow you to upload a bulk list of students or individually look up a student. So to do the bulk matching, the documents must be in a CSV, XLX, XLSX, or a TXT format. In the file, you could either include their first name, last name, and date of birth, or you could just provide the case numbers for the students. You want to make sure that there's no headers on your file that you're uploading because this will result in an error. For the bulk matching search results, the results will yield students that identify as either a match, a partial match, or a no match. And the number of students identified, you'll be able to see that at the top here. It gives you a breakdown of how many matched, how many no matched, and so on and so forth. And you also have the option to export this information in Excel or a PDF. If you do view this information on the single student lookup tool, it will be displayed in multiple pages. You can sort and narrow down what results you want to see. If you only want to see the matched or the partially matched, it can sort this information for you. For a partial match, this will result in anyone that the information is not exactly it doesn't match exactly with the information or, sorry, provided by the Department of Welfare and Supportive Services. The most commonly we see is a misspelling in the name between your records and the Department of Welfare and Supportive Services. There may have been a hyphen, or maybe they have multiple last names and they're only including one. Um, that's the case that we see most often. All partial matches, you have to verify their information before you consider them a full match. So you're going to look at the information that's provided from that list, compare it to your own records to see if you actually can match that student. You're not going to contact the individuals or the family to confirm this information. And after the partial match is verified, you're going to update the results in the single student lookup tool. So to verify if you sort your list to the partially matched, if you click on partially matched, it's going to give you more information of that student. And if you can confirm that this indeed is the match, again, it could have been a simple mistake like a missing hyphen, this is the same student. You're going to update the single student lookup tool. So this is the pop-up that you will see when you click on partially matched. It will provide all the information for the student, and it gives you an option to either confirm that yes, this is a selected match, or this is not a match. This is no eligible match. Once you update in the single student lookup tool, every time you go back and search, it will pop up as a match or no match, whatever you confirmed. So this minimizes you looking for the same student and always coming up as a partially matched. Now, if you want to look up a student individually, it follows many of the same parameters as the bulk lookup list. The formatting is the same if you're uploading just a list, or you can look up by typing just their first name, last name, and birth date, or you can search by case number. The results will yield the same as a bulk list. So it would either come up as a match, a partial match, or a no match, and then the program results. And you can modify these results from the partial match if you can confirm this is indeed a match with the records that you have on file. The single student lookup tool also saves search results. So you can go back in and from your search history, pull the data that was run or that you were able to match in your various searches. This should be saved in your files. And when we're doing administrative reviews, if you're directly certifying via this method, we can confirm that you're directly certifying the required times based on your search history and your documents saved. So any results that you pull from the single student lookup tool must be updated in your third-party point of sale system and Infinite Campus or any other student information system that you're using. You have to update this information so that we can ensure that these students are receiving the correct benefit level. All right, we're going to do another quick knowledge test here to go over direct certification information. Again, if your camera is on, you can give a quick thumbs up for true, thumbs down for false, type it in the chat, or unmute yourself to answer. So the first one, SFAs, school food authorities, have the option to directly certify students. Correct. This is false. This is required in the Code of Federal Regulations, and it requires any school food authority that is operating the National School Lunch or School Breakfast Program is required to directly certify students at least 3 times a year. Next, the DC match file from the Nevada Department of Education can be imported into the School Food Authority's third-party system or Infinite Campus. Yes, this is also false. The DC match file should be uploaded into both your third-party point of sale system and Infinite Campus. And that concludes our webinar for today. I'm going to open it up for questions now. Feel free to unmute yourself to ask any questions you may have.
Bobby, this is Lauren from Somerset, and I'm going to ask a question that's related but not. I'm just wondering how other systems or districts are approaching. We're going to do a push to have parents complete applications given the PEBT. And so if a family is not directly certified or has not submitted an application and been approved, and we've had just such a smaller number of applications this year, then a family may qualify based on an application, but they're not going to, because they haven't completed it, they will not qualify for PEBT. So we're going to do a push for that. I'm just wondering if other districts or systems are doing it and kind of hearing how they're going about it. Is it okay to ask that question? It's kind of related, but it's not.
Sure. Does anyone want to share if they're going to be doing a push for applications for PEBT? We have a quiet group today. I'll reach out, Lauren, if I hear of anyone else that will be doing a push. I'll let you know.
Well, and I just quickly, I mean, I think that's something we should do. I would hate for a family to come back to us afterwards and say, "Why didn't you let me know?" That this
Mhm.
opportunity was coming, um, and we should have, completed an application, and they would have. I don't know. Just wondering. Hopefully, we're not doing something we should. Anyway.
No, I mean, I can speak for other states. Other states have been pushing their school food authorities to reach out to families to try and get as many applications as possible. This is a huge benefit since it will be for the entire school year. So, again, would hate to see families miss out on this benefit. So, any efforts that you all can provide, it would be extremely helpful. It looks like we got a question in the chat. Do you know when the PEBT will be done? Right now, we're still submitting the plan for PEBT. The timeline that we expect is benefits will be issued this summer and the latest this fall, and they will receive it for all months that they have been qualified for. And we'll have more information as the plan is approved.
Bobby, this is Jody from Nye County. I have never used the single student lookup tool.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, we're all CEP. I do the direct certification upload twice a month.
Mm-hmm.
And I take the list at the end. I do it in Infinite Campus, and I take the list at the end of possible matches, and I search them individually in Infinite Campus.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something I'm missing with this single student lookup tool that makes it easier, or do I not have to use a single student lookup tool if I'm actually doing that in Infinite Campus on my own? I'm not aware of.
Sure. So the single student lookup tool is just another tool to your dispense. So if you're already looking up those students in Infinite Campus, you're doing the same thing as you would searching those unmatched students in the single student lookup tool. So you're just doing it in a different method. So it's just another resource that you have that provides you some information about the student from the direct or the Department of Welfare and Supportive Services list. But if you're able to match those unmatched students for your records in Infinite Campus, you're doing the same thing. So it's just another resource if you want to use, it's not required.
Okay, so when I do that, I just take the list and I write notes on it. For instance, student Johnny is in the household with Sally. Their last names are different. When Sally had her free or reduced eligibility, and then that is okay to have for when you folks do a review. It sounds like the single student lookup tool is actually another way of recording that information, but my handwritten notes will work just as well.
They will, absolutely. As long as we're seeing that you're trying to match those unmatched students, we can see that you have notes on your records. That is absolutely acceptable.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any other questions? All right, I want to thank you all for attending today. Today I will get these slides out as well as the various resources that I went over in the training. This training was recorded, so as soon as we're able to edit it and get it up on our YouTube page, we will send you out that link as well.
Bobby, this is Lauren. I want to thank you for the information, the training today. It was put together, concise, organized, and it went very quickly. So thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Lauren, and I look forward to hosting more trainings in the future with you all. And if you have anything that you would like to go over, or a training topic that's really needed, feel free to email me and we'll include it on our next monthly webinar list. All right, have a great day, everyone.